Welcome back, Bacho. And the date today is August 5th, and we are starting with Indian Express, and we will be reviewing the articles, important ones from the Hindu as well. So, before I start, I would love to tell you that understand this that if you want me to cover past, present, and conclusion of an article, it is humanly not possible to cover two newspapers in 15 minutes. Okay, also, what's the point of doing the newspaper analysis if I miss all the important news, especially for uh, the defense aspirants from the SSB point of view. So yes, there are days when there are no important articles. So that day it might come up to 16-17 minutes, but on normal days, if there are news, I need to explain that, right? नहीं तो कोई point नहीं है बच्चों analysis करने का. So the first article we are talking about today is, it says Delhi distances itself from Hasina event today. Dhaka warns its media not to air. So basically, Dhaka is warning here, you see. So, first of all, let's understand what is the issue. So, this article is talking about the delicate relationship between India and Bangladesh. Okay? So, the Prime Minister, the earlier Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Ms. Sheikh Hasina, has lost power and took refuge in India itself. So, now what has happened? Iska past halka sa bata deti hu of the article, and definitely the Prime Minister of Dhaka. So she has been Prime Minister for nearly 15 years. Okay? So during her time, India and Bangladesh have enjoyed one of the best bilateral relationships during her tenure. So in 2024, massive student-led protest forced her to resign and flee to India. So the new government is now led by Mohammad Tariq. Okay, so he is the new prime minister after the elections in Bangladesh. So after 2 years of her removal, she plans to address the supporters virtually from Delhi. Okay? She wants to address them. And now Bangladesh has asked India not to allow its territory to be used for political activities against Bangladesh. Now, India's stand on this is that first, India is saying it is not organizing the event. Second, it is saying it does not support interference in Bangladesh internal affairs. Okay? So Bangladesh has also warned its TV channels not to broadcast her speech, and at the same time, India and Bangladesh are now slowly building their relationships. Kaise? Because the visa services between the countries were finally restored, and Bangladesh is invited to BRICS summit, which is happening next month in India, and still we are engaging in diplomatic talks. Okay? So this is important because देखो ये ना एक डिप्लोमेसी बैलेंसिंग एक्ट के बारे में बता रहे हैं बच्चों. ठीक है? So because we want good relations with the Bangladesh current government, we cannot ignore them. है ना? एक वीडियो बनाई थी मैंने बच्चों why China is so interested in Bangladesh करके, because China is heavily investing now in Bangladesh. So वो वाली वीडियो देखना. एंड सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट है बच्चों, उस वीडियो के नीचे ना कमेंट सेक्शन पढ़ना, बिकॉज उसमें कमेंट्स में मैक्सिमम कमेंट्स आए हैं बांग्लादेश के बच्चे लोग जो भी हैं. आई डोंट नो एग्जैक्टली, दे आर नॉट ऑल बच्चे. सम ऑफ द कमेंट्स आर प्योरली हेट कमेंट्स. ठीक है? एंड द काइंड ऑफ पर्सपेक्टिव आई गॉट फ्रॉम बांग्लादेशी पीपल वॉज दैट they kind of hated the relationship between India and the Prime Minister, the then Prime Minister. So they are saying कि India was using Bangladesh for its own good. ठीक है? आप वो वीडियो देखना एक बार, अच्छी वीडियो है वो, एंड मैं उसको डिस्क्रिप्शन में डाल दूँगी उसका लिंक, so that in case you want to have a look at it, just have a look at it. Okay, so understand this, that here neither of the sides wants relations to deteriorate, because Bangladesh is important neighbor for India in that region. ठीक है? सो दोनों का अगर आप क्रिटिकल पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू समझने की कोशिश करोगे बच्चों, देखो इंडिया का पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू बहुत सिंपल है, दैट डेमोक्रेसी सपोर्ट्स फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच, बट अलाउइंग फॉरेन पोलिटिकल लीडर्स टू कैंपेन फ्रॉम इंडियन सॉइल कैन एक्चुअली रिस्ट्रेन द बायलैटरल रिलेशनशिप्स बिटवीन द कंट्रीज. ठीक है? बांग्लादेश का कंसर्न यहाँ पे ये है दैट her speech may increase domestic political tension. ठीक है, so that is why they are also not ready. So the larger lesson here is that neighborhood policy requires strategic restraint, not emotional decisions, and India has wisely separated humanitarian support from the political endorsement which is going on. And let's see how the relationship between India and Bangladesh opens up, and how does this look in the future. Now, welcome to a funny article which says that Qatar is saying that there is a progress which has been made towards US and Iran peace talks. So, अगर आपने कल का न्यूज़पेपर एनालिसिस देखा होगा तो उसमें देखा होगा how Iran has bluntly denied that they don't want to talk to US. ठीक है, they don't want any peace talks with them. So, understand this, how tensions between both the countries are ongoing, and this war which is ongoing, the conflict which it started on February 2026, and countries who are meditating between US and Iran are Qatar, Pakistan and Oman. ठीक है, ये 3 countries हैं बच्चों जो मीडिएट कर रही हैं. So Qatar says diplomacy is progressing, Trump says talk may begin soon, and Iran publicly denies the formal talks between the informal diplomatic contacts. ठीक है, उसके अलावा if you see this article also, you will see how attacks on ships on Hormuz is in Hormuz is still continuing. So अब आप पूछोगे कतर, why is Qatar so interested? ठीक है, देखो Qatar is a country which is maintaining good relationship between Iran, USA, Hamas से भी इनके good relation है, and Taliban से भी good relations है. So that is making them a effective mediator. Now we all understand why Hormuz matters. I don't need to tell you that. Understand this, that diplomacy has not completely broken down. That is what Qatar is claiming here. But the ground reality actually remains tense because of the attacks which are happening. So this is a kind of, I will say, cautious optimism in this, but there is no final agreement yet. And the real peace will actually require a lot of understanding between both the countries, especially on nuclear. There should be a lot of regional trust and security guarantees which should go hand in hand for both the countries. And remember this, dialogue is always cheaper than war, but successful dialogue actually requires a lot of trust. Okay, chalo, let's move to the articles on editorial section. This is a very, very important article because it actually gives you a lot of insight about how things actually work, especially. So when I was growing up, I saw this person as the chief minister of Jharkhand. Okay, now he's the opposition leader there, and he talks about a very important thing, that why must people be poor in a state rich with minerals? है ना, कितना अच्छा क्वेश्चन है बच्चों. So if the question he's trying to ask is, if Jharkhand has got enormous mineral wealth, why the people are still poor? And if you will see this pattern around the world, it is similar. जितनी countries हैं who has got, you know, important oil and the minerals, वो सारी की सारी poor है. वेनेजुएला को मान लो, ठीक है, अफ्रीका की कंट्रीज़ को देख लो, ठीक है, उसके अलावा आप आई मीन इफ़ यू लुक अराउंड द वर्ल्ड यू विल फाइंड सो मेनी कंट्रीज विच आर फेसिंग द एग्जैक्ट सेम इशू. बिकॉज एट द एंड बच्चों एक चीज़ याद रखना, इफ़ योर लीडरशिप इज़ नॉट करेक्ट, इट नॉट राइट, तो this is what is going to happen. But we will not get emotional here. I will try to explain what is written in this one. ठीक है, so इसको उन्होंने नाम दिया है समथिंग कॉल्ड रिसोर्स कर्स या पैराडॉक्स, रिसोर्स पैराडॉक्स. ठीक है, सो दीज 2 टर्म्स हैव बीन यूज्ड, एंड इसमें ये बोला है हाउ झारखंड हैज़ गॉट कोल, कॉपर, यूरेनियम, बॉक्साइट. ठीक है, एंड this has been generating quite a revenue for them. ठीक है, so to ensure the local communities benefited, the government created something called DMF. ये लिखा हुआ है, देख लो यहाँ पे. ठीक है, the District Mineral Foundation Trust in 2015. ठीक है, ये उस टाइम बना. But despite thousands of crores collected, many of these mining villages are still suffering from poor roads, poor schools, lack of hospitals, pollution, unemployment. ठीक है, so this article is kind of कंपेयरिंग उड़ीसा विद झारखंड. यहाँ पे देखो आप, ठीक है. तो इसमें एक लाइन लिखी है उन्होंने, उड़ीसा मिनरल resources are less than half of Jharkhand, yet in 2025-26 Orissa generated nearly 46,000 crore in mining revenue compared to Jharkhand, which is only 22,000 crore. And this is a very important and liable question to be asked. ठीक है, as Indians ये सारी चीज़ें आप लोगों को पता होनी चाहिए बच्चों. Then only you will ask right questions as this generation, and इसीलिए पढ़ना ज़रूरी है. ठीक है, रील्स देख के इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं आती है, ये सब पढ़ के आती है. So why is this happening? Because the wealth alone will not create development. As I mentioned initially, that development requires good governance, it requires accountability, it requires transparency, it requires efficient use of fund. और ये सारी चीज़ें कौन करता है बच्चों? This is all done by the leadership. ठीक है. So ऐसा नहीं है कि this is the only format you will see in our states. You will see this format in the other countries as well. So remember this, that minerals are only a kind of opportunity. Without good institutions, the corruption will increase, the local will always remain poor. ठीक है, ईरान भी लगा लो इस कंट्री में. ठीक है, सो ईरान के पास ऑयल है बट स्टिल देयर पीपल आर पुअर. So natural resources are valuable only when their benefit actually reaches the ordinary people. So development should be measured by better schools and hospitals and not just higher mining output. ठीक है, वो important है, but remember this, that it is important to have better governance and distribution of all these resources. Okay, now let's talk about this article in, so I'm doing this editorial page of it. Okay, so this says, as Gen Z leads change in the subcontinent, is Pakistan doomed to be the exception? Okay, and I like the articles which are written by Rajmohan. So this is a question which he's asking, that why young people are changing the politics across the South Asia, but Pakistan is still struggling as a country. ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है? So they are talking about all the protests which has happened in Bangladesh, in Sri Lanka, ठीक है, in Nepal, in India, but Pakistan में the politics is heavily dominated by military. ठीक है, and civil governments are still weak. So Pakistan faces a problem of very young population बहुत ज़्यादा है, social media activism है ही वहाँ पे, and youth participation is happening, but still the change remains very limited because of the military influence they have, and it is quite strong, and political parties are personality driven, and because of that the institutions are weak. So this article actually argues that Pakistan risks becoming the only South Asian country where the young people cannot meaningfully reshape the politics. However, we should avoid assuming such kind of things in our head. This is what my listing is, that remember this, that democracy becomes stronger when institution, not personalities, become stronger. ठीक है, so मेरा takeaway is this from this article. So Pakistan long-term stability actually depends if they strengthen their parliament, if they strengthen their judiciary, if they strengthen their free media, if they work on their civil institutions rather than relying on individual leaders. So this is what it is. Let's move on to the rest of the articles. Now, both the editorials, the Indian Express and the Hindu, they both have spoken about one article which talks about J&K statehood. Okay, so abhi let's go one by one to these articles. So Indian Express wala article hai, this asks that why has statehood still not been restored after 7 years. Okay, and the Hindu editorial is asking that why is restoring statehood now necessary for the democracy and the accountability. So let's go one by one. So देखो, दोनों जो articles हैं, they actually agree on the fact that Article 370 has already become a reality. So neither of the article demands restoration of 370, ये याद रखना, ठीक है. Instead, both are saying that whether one support or oppose Article 370, that is a separate demand, but their focus is on the statehood. ठीक है, not a special status, statehood, ये चीज़ डिमांड कर रहे हैं. Number 2 is both the articles believe that statehood now should be restored. ठीक है, so both argue that elections have already taken place, there is an elected government, and therefore continuing like a union territory status is difficult to justify. So both say that temporary arrangements should not become a permanent thing in a state. ठीक है. Third point is both believe that democracy is incomplete without statehood. Why? Because देखो MLAs हैं, government भी है, but police, bureaucracy, public order, everything is under the governor, जो लेफ्टिनेंट जनरल होते हैं. ठीक है, so elected representatives जो हैं इनके, they are not able to govern fully. And both of the articles talk about accountability. So both argue that if something goes wrong, who is responsible? The chief minister or the governor? This is actually creating a lot of confusion. Okay? And both of the articles agree that the security has improved compared to 2019. So both are acknowledging that stone pelting has reduced, large scale protest has reduced, पॉलिटिक्स जो है सेपरेटिस्ट वाली वो वीक हो गई है, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर इज़ बेटर, टूरिज्म इज़ बेटर. ठीक है, बट देखो ये आर्टिकल एक चीज़ पे डिफर करता है. इट सेज इंटीग्रेशन इज़ इनकम्प्लीट विदाउट रिस्टोरिंग स्टेटहुड. सो इट वांट टू the author wants to say that India promised people that removal of 370 was temporary and statehood would return. And now if that promise is delayed, people may lose trust in the government. Okay? So this is what it is. And it also talks about Kashmiri Pandit returns, because the return of Kashmiri Pandit is still incomplete. Until the safe return happens, the Kashmir issue is never fully resolved. ठीक है, सो मुझे थोड़ा प्रैक्टिकल लगा ये आर्टिकल मेरे को. लेट्स सी. एंड ये वाला जो आर्टिकल है ना बच्चों, ऑन द सेम टॉपिक, इसका मेन आर्ग्यूमेंट बेसिकली ये है कि डेमोक्रेसी नीड्स अकाउंटेबल गवर्नमेंट. सो इट आस्क्स फॉर accountability. Its biggest concern is the constitutional governance in JNK. So this article focuses on democracy, constitutional morality and accountability much more than the security. Okay, so this is what it is, and that's all. Let me show you my favorite article from today's newspaper. This is what it is, and it is talk about NATO enters a new strategic era of transformation. Okay, let's talk about this article in detail. So इसमें क्या बोल रहा है? The article actually argues how NATO is no longer just a European defense alliance, जो कि वो बना था जब it was made in 1949. ठीक है, and how it is transforming into a broader military alliance prepared for a long-term competition, especially with Russia. ठीक है, एंड वन बाय वन करके इन्होंने बताया है दैट फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल व्हाई NATO was created. ठीक है, सो NATO was created in 1949 after World War II, and the main aim was to stop the expansion of Soviet Union during the Cold World War. ठीक है, सो किसी ने मुझसे कोल्ड वॉर को कवर करने को बोला है. सो आई हैव मेड द नोट्स, and give me some time, I will be doing it in a very much detailed format. ठीक है, and just to show you guys, this is how I make notes. जैसे कि आर्टिकल बहुत अच्छा था, तो you can take a screenshot of this if you want. ठीक है, सो ऐसे करके मैंने इसके नोट्स बना लिए हैं, and now this notes is going to be there with me forever. ठीक है, जब भी मुझे कुछ NATO का रेफर करना होगा, I can come back to these notes. So I want you to focus on the same habit of making notes. ठीक है, it might look like a very stupid habit, but it helps you in the long run. ठीक है, so the aim was to create to stop the expansion of Soviet Union, NATO का, and collective defense करना. इसमें बच्चों Article 5 is the most important one. Article 5 क्या बोलता है? That attack on one is considered as attack on all members. So that ensured that Soviet Union attacked one country and all NATO members will respond. ठीक है, सो इसमें इन्होंने बता रखा है कि हाउ थिंग्स हैव शिफ्टेड. ठीक है, कैसे सोवियत यूनियन जो था वो कोलैप्स हुआ 1991 में, एंड देन नेटो लॉन्च इट्स ओरिजिनल एनिमी, ठीक है, उसी के खिलाफ बनाया था ना, तो ओरिजिनल एनिमी गायब हो गया. एंड देन दे स्टार्ट, sorry about that, lunch is being cooked. Okay, so the NATO started expanding eastwards by admitting Soviet bloc countries like Poland, Hungary, ठीक है, और Baltic countries बहुत सारी आने लग गई NATO के अंदर. फिर रशिया को रशिया स्टार्टेड फीलिंग दिस एज अ थ्रेट. ठीक है, अगर इट इज़ प्रीटी सिंपल बच्चों, देखो अगर पाकिस्तान के वेस्टर्न बॉर्डर पे चाइना आके बैठ जाएगी तो इंडिया विल ऑल्सो फील थ्रेटन. सेम इज़ द थिंग रशिया इज़ गोइंग. नाउ लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड व्हाई नाटो इज़ चेंजिंग हियर. देखो सबसे बड़ा रीज़न जो इस आर्टिकल में बताया है वो बताया है रशिया यूक्रेन वॉर. ठीक है, सो तीन चीज़ें इन्होंने बताई हैं, मैं आपको नोट से समझा देती हूँ. ठीक है, that what are the developments, how things have changed after the Russia Ukraine war. So Russia invades Ukraine. सबसे पहले क्या होता है, यूरोप feels insecure. ठीक है, because of that ये लोग अपनी डिफेंस स्पेंडिंग जो है वो बढ़ा देते हैं. एंड देन NATO reorients its strategic priorities. ठीक है, क्योंकि इनको और ज़्यादा जो है फोकस जो इनका अर्लियर जो इनका फोकस था इट वॉज मेनली ऑन रशिया, बट नाउ NATO ऑफिशियली रिकग्नाइजेज रशिया as their immediate military threat and China as their strategic challenge. तो अगर आप ये देखोगे ना, at the end it is सारा US का फैड. ठीक है, तो बिकॉज US की दोनों कंट्रीज से नहीं बनती है तो वो दोनों कंट्रीज़ जो हैं वो यूरोप की भी प्रॉब्लम है. ठीक है, तो आई अंडरस्टैंड कि रशिया यूरोप के लिए तो हो सकता है थोड़ा बहुत थ्रेट, चाइना यूरोप के लिए कैसे थ्रेट हो सकता है, बट यू नो बिकॉज US इज सेइंग यू हैव टू अग्री टू दैट. सो इसमें इन्होंने बताया है हाउ NATO was US was important to the Europe for because Europe is heavily dependent on US for intelligence, surveillance, satellite support, command control systems, strategic airlift, missile defense, long range precision strike capabilities, and they were all under nuclear umbrella. ठीक है, so ये सारी चीज़ें बताई हैं. And now countries in Europe like Germany, Poland, France, they are all expanding their armed forces. उनको समझ में आ गया है that they need to work on them. ठीक है, इसके अलावा NATO के ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन की बात हुई है बच्चों, दैट व्हाट यू शुड नो. क्या ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन हुआ है, मिलिट्री है जो एक्सपैंड हो रही है. दे आर हैविंग बिगर आर्मीज नाउ, मोर वेपन्स, एंड दे आर working on their forces. ठीक है, rapid forces, this is what rapid forces is. In technology में they all know that now the modern warfare is more of electronic warfare, so they need AI, drones, cyber, satellite, missile, and Europe is taking much more responsibility. Because of that Germany has started rearming itself, higher GDP डिफेंस स्पेंडिंग करने लगे हैं, एंड US पे डिपेंडेंस कम करना चाहते हैं बिकॉज दे वांट टू फोकस ऑन इंडो पैसिफिक. दिस इज़ व्हाट इज़ मेंशन्ड इन दिस आर्टिकल. ठीक है, अब इस आर्टिकल का इंडिया के लिए क्या इम्पोर्टेंस है वो समझ लेते हैं, दैट हाउ ऑल ऑफ दिस कैन एक्चुअली make a difference for a country like India. So India का क्या perspective है. This article says that NATO transformation is creating opportunities for India. How अपनी डिफेंस टेक्नोलॉजी जो है, जैसे ही ये लोग AI, ड्रोन और इन सब में इन्वेस्ट करना शुरू करेंगे तो इंडिया कैन एक्सपैंड द डिफेंस कोऑपरेशन. ठीक है, उसके अलावा अपनी डिफेंस मैन्युफैक्चरिंग जो है वो हम बढ़ा रहे हैं, एंड वी वांट टू बिकम अ हब. सो ग्रेटर कोऑपरेशन विद NATO कंट्रीज विल हेल्प अस इन जॉइंट प्रोडक्शन, टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर एंड डिफेंस एक्सपोर्ट्स. ठीक है, इसके अलावा NATO हैज़ बिकम इंटरेस्टेड इन the Indo-Pacific. So India's role is important here because first we are in Indian Ocean, second we are member of Quad, third we also want maritime security in that area. So this article tells us something very important, that India should not join NATO, but instead India should strengthen cooperation while maintaining the strategic autonomy. अभी भी नहीं पता क्या होता है strategic autonomy, तो देख लेना वो वीडियो जो इसके ऊपर बनाई है और समझ लेना. ठीक है, so that's all.